followers. And yeah.
Welcome to Deep Focus, a radio show about movies and New Haven. I'm your host, Tom Breen, and I haven't done this show in a couple months. I've really taken a long break, but it is just about June, which is in New Haven, as everyone has known for the past 6 years, the moviestest time of the year, whatever that superlative version of the adjective is, because it is just about to be the start of the New Haven Documentary Film Festival. And so, as we do every year, I've got my friend, the co-founder, co-director of the festival, Gorman Bouchard, in the studio today to talk about what is on the lineup for this sixth and arguably, maybe not arguably, the biggest, the best, the most diverse, the most professional looking, the most legit of NH Docs yet. But Gorman, welcome to the show. It's great to have you back.
Thank you. Thank you for having us back. Yeah, it is. It's a large, impressive lineup, if I must say so myself, this year.
So we had you on the show about a year ago to talk about Pizza: A Love Story,
Right.
Your movie about Pepe's, Sally's, Modern, the Holy Trinity. I wonder, even since that movie is featured quite prominently in this DocFest, can you give us a quick update on where that movie is? I think you were still in doing post-production.
Yes,
back a year ago. You were putting the soundtrack together, finding
that was
some
a
last
work in
finance.
progress. We showed it, got a lot of interesting comments, made some changes, showed it again at New England Brewing Company in September. Got a lot of good comments and noticed some things we wanted to change. All the music got done, and this is now the final version of the film. It premiered in Boston a month ago. It's also playing at the Greenwich International Film Festival next Friday and Saturday, and it's playing 2 screenings that are basically sold out at NH Docs next Saturday, June 1st.
Well, as I know it's a movie you've been working on for a long time,
Yes.
I think over a decade or thereabouts. So congratulations
Thank you.
on
Thank
getting
you.
that to the screen. And it was great hearing you on the Colin McEnroe show with Lucy Gelman and Brian Slattery talking about the finished product. So NH Docs, 6th year, am I right
Yes,
in that
6th year.
arithmetic?
Yep.
So first, tell me a bit about. I mean, I hinted at how this may be the biggest and best yet, but for listeners who don't know anything about NH Docs, who haven't listened to this interview or read any of the articles or seen any movies of the past 5 years, what is this festival? What's its kind of mission? What's its goal? And then we'll get into the movies you're excited about.
The mission of NH Docs is basically to bring film lovers and filmmakers from the area together. We do have a big emphasis on films that are made in Connecticut, but we also bring in films from all over the world. We have international films, we have films from all over the country, but we do have, like I said, a large number come from Connecticut. And it really is a way to open up the local film-loving audience to films that they probably would not have much of a chance to see. And not to mention, the majority of these screenings are free. So, you might have to wait in line a little bit, or if you don't want to wait in line, you buy our Fast Pass and you just walk past the line and you just get right into whatever you want.
And this festival started out, I guess, 6 years ago now with just 4 movies, right? All made,
Correct.
all by the co-founders
Yes,
of
back
the
then.
festival. And now it has grown to. Do you know how many movies are in this year? So there were 80 something last year.
We're somewhere between 110 and 120. But we don't have the student competition. I'm still waiting on the judges, so that's going to depend the final number.
How do you do like quality control when you have that many movies that you are juggling? I mean, first, are you the co-director or the director right now?
I'm the co-director, but I'm the lead programmer.
Got it.
So
you're maybe the best person to ask. Like, how do you? I imagine you got
I don't
more than
sleep.
100 submissions.
Yeah, I don't sleep.
Yeah.
I just watch. You just watch. You put the films on, and it's like sometimes honestly, it's like within 15 minutes. Like I don't know that this is going to be something we're going to program, but a lot of times, you get caught off guard. I will tell you, the film that really caught me off guard was You Don't Know Me, because here is a documentary that's making the claim that Showgirls is one of the great films
The infamous
of all time.
Paul Verhoeven
Yes.
sleaze fest that I guess now is a cult favorite, as everything that is
Yes.
20 years old.
And
becomes.
I put this on, and I was riveted. I thought it was completely entertaining, tons of fun, and made me want to go back and watch Showgirls, which I didn't think anything could ever really make me want to do. So you just never know.
When does the festival start? Where does this take place? You mentioned that almost all the screenings are free. How do people access all this great stuff?
All right, so everything's on our website, nhdocs.com, but it starts on Thursday, May 30th, our opening night. It runs for 11 days, right through till June 9th. Most of the screenings are at the Whitney Humanities Center at Yale, which is right on the corner of Wall Street and Church Street. But we also have a lot of screenings during the day at the New Haven Free Public Library on Elm. And we also have 2 screenings, which are not the free screenings, at Cafe 9, but they're not free screenings because they include live musical performances afterwards. That's on Sunday, June 2nd and Tuesday, June 4th. And then we also have, we brought another location into our fold this year, the State House, and we're doing a wonderful movie called Circus of Books on Wednesday, June 5th at the State House.
Can you tell us about Circus of Books?
Okay, Circus of Books. I guess to me the line that would grab me would be, what happens if your sweet Jewish parents just happen to own the largest gay porn bookstore in Los Angeles? You're their daughter. You make a documentary, and that's basically it. And it is charming. It's funny. It's sad. It is a perfect documentary.
How did this movie come to NH Docs? Did you know the filmmaker?
No, I actually, a lot of times, like, as soon as there are 3 big film festivals that happen before NH Docs that I really look to, which are Sundance, South by, and Tribeca. And I basically look at every documentary that's playing there, and if something tweaks my fancy, I go after it. And we always have a lot of documentaries very heavy on social issues. So I am always looking for the documentaries on lighter subjects, for lack of a better description. I mean, I brought in a documentary on the Nathan's hot dog eating contest called The Good, the Bad, and the Hungry.
I mean, I think that what you just said about how you are, as the chief programmer here, keeping your eyes on really the major film festivals in the country to see what nonfiction films you're looking to bring to New Haven, has that kind of national leaning intention or scope, is that relatively new to NHI? I mean, again, this is something that started with the films of accomplished filmmakers and film teachers in New Haven who wanted to start kind of foment the creation of a film loving community in the city, and then it broadened out to include lots of locally and regionally made, very small films. And now it seems to be, I don't know, are you aspiring to be on that level of kind of major stop?
Well, not on that level, but the next
circuit?
tier, I think, which I think this year our special guest sort of puts us there, because in our special guest, of course, being Michael Moore, who I don't believe has ever done a retrospect of his work. So we have him for 3 days.
That's amazing.
It really is, and and the guests coming with him are amazing. On Friday, June 7th, we have Peter Davis showing the greatest war documentary ever made, Hearts and Minds, which was a big influence on Moore's Fahrenheit 9/11, and Moore is going to interview Peter Davis about the film, and then we screen Fahrenheit 9/11, and Peter Davis is going to interview Moore. And that's actually how we hooked him. And I give that, my partner in this, Charles Musser, is the one who said, I kept bugging him, let's ask Michael Moore. And the thought was, he's never going to say yes, but my feeling always is. So he says, no, you move on. And Charlie came up with this ingenious way, because Charlie was one of the assistant editors on Hearts and Minds. So he said, he sort of reeled Michael in that way, which was brilliant. And then we brought in Pennebaker, who is also a friend of Michael. And I think any documentary, anyone who knows anything about documentary filmmakers looks at Pennebaker as, the Hitchcock of the genre. I mean, very few people can compare. And
Probably,
Baker's.
best known for the Bob Dylan documentary, Don't Look Back, the War Room, the Clinton primary.
It's like he'll start talking
right.
and you forget how many movies he's
right.
made.
And Penny Baker's been the subject of NH Doc's retrospective 2 years ago.
And so he's coming on Saturday and doing Q&As with Michael all during the day for the next 3 films.
I was thrilled at the prospect of catching up on some Michael Moore films, iconic and not that I have not seen, but also to be able to see Michael Moore interview someone. That's half the fun of thinking about and watching Michael Moore. I mean, his interviewing style has become so ingrained, especially in this era of mass access to pretty affordable means of filmmaking equipment where anyone can be a gadfly and just kind of lift their Facebook Live video and their phone and record something horrendous or funny or provocative or whatever. Michael Moore's interviewing style has become a part of 21st century American ethics or something. I don't know, but so I want to move into or talk about some of the many other films in the fest, but let's stick with Moore for just a second. He is, kind of a titan of documentary film, a very controversial figure, from Roger and Me to Bowling for Columbine, Fahrenheit 9/11. How have you? I don't know. What's your relationship been like with his movies over the past 30 years? Is he someone you look to as an accomplished documentary filmmaker yourself, as someone as an inspiration, as more of an intellectual provocateur?
No, I love his films because I find his films. One of the things that sometimes is lacking from documentaries is they're too information heavy, and they forget that they also need to be entertaining, or you're going to be turning them off. It's too easy to turn things off. Michael Moore's films are always entertaining. And I also, I would say I'm sort of in this. I'm on his side for most politics. You look at something like Bowling for Columbine. I mean, it is one of the standards. I mean, it's the gun control film. It really is, and it's brilliant. And I don't know how anyone watches that film and doesn't understand exactly what people who want stricter controls on guns are saying.
Yeah, I love what you said about how not only are our documentaries often a little too information heavy, but they also often seek to anonymize the person behind the camera, which is the exact opposite of Michael Moore's interviewing technique. He puts himself right in the center, and he really has a politics. I mean, he is very upfront about where he's coming from, and it is in constantly questioning what is kind of American common sense. Is it, it's common sense that we live with, millions of guns in this country and put up with tens of thousands of deaths every year from guns. It's common sense that, people go bankrupt because of minor healthcare problems. It's common sense that, the heads of corporations make billions of dollars and the people they work for are often looking for work. That's stuff that, maybe in an era of Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, whom he's both interviewed, that's becoming more common sense, but it hasn't always been, and I think he's helped push the envelope.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, if you even look at his later films, I think Where to Invade Next is one of his best films, which was the second to last that he put out. And I mean, it just really looked at a number of great ideas that actually emanated in the United States, but we sort of dropped the ball on, but other countries ran with them and did a beautiful job. From really healthy lunches for our children at school, which is really not a bad idea when you think about it. To healthcare issues and a lot of other things. It was just, but it was presented in such a completely entertaining way.
And to be able to see all of these movies back to back to back for free in one place that's a pretty remarkable opportunity. Do you have the dates off the top of your head as to when the Michael Moore movie? It's the final weekend.
It's the final weekend. Okay. It starts Hearts and Minds, which is sort of kicks it off. Starts at 5:00 on Friday, June 7th, and there are 2 movies that night. There are 4 movies on Saturday starting at 1:00, and then there are 2 movies on Sunday starting at noon. And also, if you were to happen to buy a Fast Pass Deluxe, you actually get a seat at a very private brunch on Saturday morning with Michael Moore.
Oh, wow.
So,
has anyone bought any of those?
Yeah,
Oh,
nice.
Excellent. We're talking about the New Haven Documentary Film Festival, NH Docs, in its 6th year on Deep Focus, a radio show about movies in New Haven. I'm your host, Tom Breen, and I'm talking with Gorman Bouchard, one of the co-founders and the co-directors, the head of programming for this fest. Really one of the movers, the guy who has helped bring hundreds of documentary films to New Haven every June each of the past 6 years. This is as exciting as it is to have Michael Moore featured prominently here. Obviously, there are many more movies at NH Talks. You mentioned one with Circus of Books, but I wonder if you could single out a few others that you are particularly excited to have. And I've got a few kind of themes that I've seen cropped up in NH Docs year over year over year, including and stuff in your own work: animal rights, vegetarianism, veganism, environmental consciousness, music, of course. So I want you feel free to pick from one of those big buckets and talk about stuff you're excited about.
I guess I'm going to start with music. The Cream magazine documentary on Sunday night at Cafe 9 is a hoot. I mean, anyone who remembers Cream magazine remembers it was, as a teenager, one of those magazines you sort of hid under the bed because you didn't want your mother finding it. It was the really obnoxious alternative to Rolling Stone, and my friend Scott Crawford has just made a wonderful short, like mile-a-minute documentary about it. And then Dean Falcone, local music genius, is getting together all of his friends, and they're playing songs afterwards from bands that were just on the covers of the magazine during the 70s. So
I would strongly recommend people go to the NH Docs website and just watch trailer after trailer after trailer, because you get a good sense of the films, the diversity of them, but it's also a lot of fun. The Cream trailer has one of the better lines of any trailer I saw, where the actor Jeff Daniels, I don't know how he ended up in the movie, but he says Cream was kind of like Playboy when you were a teenage boy in the 70s. You hid it under your bed and you hope that your mom wouldn't find out that you were reading it. And I'm afraid that my connection to Cream is really just my love of Philip Seymour Hoffman's performance as Lester Bangs in Almost Famous. I mean, that's about as close as I get. But I love the ethos.
I don't even know if you were born by the time it sort of started going downhill. So
were you a regular Cream reader?
Oh God,
though? Proudly say.
Yeah. I mean, because you figured the 70s, I was a teenager.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was exactly like Playboy. That's what I'm saying.
Is this made under your, what were we thinking?
No. This is Scott Crawford.
But under your production company?
Yeah, Scott has did another film that we played here called Salad Days, about the DC punk scene, probably about 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay, so there's any other music ones you want to single out?
God, yeah. There's 2. We have 3 music ones that are with performances. The Cream. We have the Van Duren story, which is, he recorded his albums at Trod Nossel up in Wallingford, and everyone thought he was going to be the next big thing. He wasn't. Jump forward a couple decades. 2 guys in Australia find his record in the cutout bin, basically, and decide they have to make a documentary on him. And it's wonderful. It's a wonderful film that really has seeped a lot in New Haven, because that's where everyone was from. And afterwards, he's going to be coming up from Memphis and playing live at Cafe 9 with a bunch of his friends, from back in the day. In fact, moderating the Q&A is Robert DeRosa, who shot the famous picture that's on the cover of one of his albums.
That's incredible. That sounds great.
And then Fred Hirsch on Thursday, June 4th. No, 5th. No, maybe 6th. No, Thursday, June 6th. I'm actually doing this all off the top of my head, folks, which is slightly impressive even to me.
In 100+ films and 11 days, or how many?
He is. We have a movie called The Ballad of Fred Hirsch, which is about the infamous, brilliant jazz/classical pianist, and that's playing at 6 o'clock in the auditorium at Whitney Humanities Center. And afterwards, Fred is going to be doing a performance on a beautiful little Steinway grand piano. So that's also a real special thing, and that is one of the free shows.
What about a movie that's not in the music bucket, but one you mentioned at the top of the show, that NH Docs is a great opportunity for people to watch movies locally and regionally made often that they would otherwise have it'd be very unlikely that they would have ever stumbled upon it. That this is an opportunity to both celebrate local, but really find some hidden treasures that you won't find at the Bowtie Cinemas or at some Milford Megaplex. What's one that
there are again a bunch. I would say our 2 opening night films, which both deal with policing, the issues with policing, and that have been a lot, very much in the news in the past 4 or 5 years. The first one, The Sweetest Land, takes place in Hartford, and the one it follows at 9 o'clock takes place is New Haven based. And we also have another New Haven based film on policing from Steve Hamm, who did the Worcester Square film, That's on Tuesday night in the auditorium.
So that we've got The Sweetest Land is the opening night film. Questions of Justice. I wrote that one down because
Yep.
I was interested by that as well. Which, from the description on NH Docs, seems to be a look at relationships between police and marginalized communities, but with a focus on New Haven.
Right.
Which is very intriguing here. And then Shift Change, I believe, is
That's the
what
Steve Ham's
community
Yeah.
policing doc. Why do you think NH Docs has so many documentaries about police accountability and
you watch as you program, you watch films sort of come in waves. Last year I couldn't find a music documentary to save my life. I almost was like I should have gone and made one just so we could have had something. It was really difficult. This year I had more music docs than I knew what to do with. In fact, there are some playing, and there are more playing besides those. There's a wonderful one on the Melody Maker magazine, which is playing Sunday afternoon, and then again it's repeated at the library. Bungalow Sessions also playing at the library. And there were others that I just couldn't fit in because now we were going to have too many music docs.
I Need That Record, the Brennan Toller documentary about his love for
in
record
his
stores.
10th anniversary of his first film, which is wonderful. And Haley Copes is going to do the Q&A, and I think it's going to be a wonderful, obnoxious, funny Q&A.
So this year, did you see a similar surge in documentary entries about police accountability, or
That's
was it just these big three?
No, it sort of goes in waves. There were other films even that we didn't end up programming. You end up, you seem to, it's sort of like whatever's in the news today is a documentary 2 years from now. So I'm that's sort of the trend. The other big one is refugees. We got tons of films on refugees.
And it looks like you're doing a few collaborations with the local
with Iris.
Immigrant and Refugee Relocation Service, Iris.
That's the Wednesday night in the auditorium.
Maybe my favorite trailer, the one that comes to mind most right now, is one for a movie called Hurdle, about parkour and photography in the West Bank and among people in occupied Palestine. Is that a movie that you can speak to a little bit in terms of how it came to NH Docs?
Well, that was one that was just submitted on our web. Because we're on Film Freeway, which is the platform where if you're a filmmaker, you want to submit to any film festival, you go on Film Freeway, you have your film in there, and you just click on submit, you pay the fee, and so forth. And that was one that just happened to be submitted. And one of our associate directors, John Lucas, absolutely fell in love with the film and basically kept saying, I really think we should program this. I love this film. And I said, done.
So in addition to the many, many, many screenings that take place, again, for free, almost all in downtown New Haven, you also have workshops for expert filmmakers. Will be providing insight into how they do what they do, including yourself. And also a really intriguing experimental film called The Earth Remains by Derek Taylor. That's a 3-screen projection about some kind of geologic collision in the Southwest. Maybe could you start with that one and the background, how that came here?
Well, he wrote to me, and I thought it was an interesting idea, and I loved the idea of having something that was 11 minutes long. It could just play for a couple of days so that you watch a movie, your next movie is not for another 45 minutes that you want to go see, or you're going to go to dinner after that. But you can take the 11 minutes and just go see the film in the basement. And you could walk in at any time and just see it it'll be on a continuous loop.
Have you seen it yet?
Oh, yeah, it's beautiful.
I can't wait. I mean, it's there's the only I'm sure that it's done many a time, but a French filmmaker from the early 20s, this guy Abel Gance, at the time when movie makers were really trying to do like as experimental, crazy stuff as possible with the form because it was still relatively new and the avant-garde were getting their hands on it. He made this kind of triptych film about Napoleon. Yes,
I saw it.
Yeah, did you see it when it was restored?
It at Radio City Music Hall with Coppola's dad or granddad.
Oh yeah, because he was the
actually
guy
doing the live score.
Yeah, And so I've only seen it on a small screen, but it is a very exciting and interesting form because, I think we as movie watchers too have a very static relationship, just like physically with movies, and that you sit down in a chair and you look at one screen, it happens. But filmmakers are doing really fascinating stuff with the form, and it's really exciting to see this on the lineup this year.
And I think I really wanted to when as soon as that came, it's like I got to figure out a way to get this. So it's like we need another room, and it's like and obviously I'm not the Yaley of the group, so I remember I went to Catherine Germano who's the festival manager and the administrator of the film department over there, and I said, what can we put it in? And she showed me this room. I said, it's small, but it's perfect. And the same with the panels. I love the panels this year because fair use is such a big thing in documentaries because you're doing it on low budgets, and you want to use this clip from NBC, and NBC says sure for $25,000, and you say I'm using 8 seconds and my entire budget is $25,000. I can't do that. Fair use, as long as you're illustrating a point, allows you to use it. So there's a panel on that. There's a panel with me and.
So is there any kind of minimum or maximum duration that you are allowed to use something to illustrate a point? Well, it's like 10 seconds or 20 seconds?
It's usually about 15, as you don't want to go much beyond 15. You don't want it to become entertaining in itself. You really need to be illustrating a point. But if you come to the panel, you'll find out all of this.
A little tease for the panel. Again, I remember reading about John Waters' Pink Flamingos, right? And didn't he? I mean, that movie was probably made for just a couple $1,000s, but he had to pay something like $200,000 in proceeds from the music that they just threw in for fun, right? So something to watch out for filmmakers.
Absolutely.
Don't just throw in copyrighted music in your movie.
You can't use music as underscore. Period. That's just a rule. That's you're always best. I mean, there are so many musicians and so many smaller bands that will do great stuff for you. You don't, that you can actually pay them something that's not insulting, but you don't have to pay. You don't need that Rolling Stones song at $15,000 in your film.
And I see we've got the Art of the Rock documentary as well. Again, something you're very familiar with.
Me and Scott, so that's going to be a fun thing to do. I mean,
is there, in the way that you just shared a tease of what might come at the Fair Use Workshop, is there a sentence or two that you can give our listeners as to, I don't know, what you might be talking about at the Art of the Rock?
We're just going to be drunk at that point. And
that is the art.
That's the art, yeah, because I'm going to, the 2 sold out pizza movie screenings are right after that. So I'll have started drinking by that point. So,
and is there a competitive element to the fest? I forget. Are the movies judged? Do
yes.
audiences vote?
There is an audience award for the new films. So not every film is up for it, but it's an audience award for best feature and best short. Plus there is the student competition, which is separate, and that's on the Sunday. And we basically rate all the student films we get in. We show the 10 best, give or take, depending on time. And then the top 3 get awards, and we got some really good prizes this year too from some gear manufacturers like Staccato and Think Bag. So I mean, they're getting some nice stuff besides a little bit of a cash reward, and we give 2 honorable mentions as well. And the audience award is fun because we replay the best feature and the best short. That's Sunday night. That'll be after all the Michael Moore stuff. That's the second Sunday night, June 9th. But we also give awards to the audience. We have like a number of local merchants and groups, such as like the Taste of New Haven food. There's going to be a pizza free passes for 2 for a pizza tour. Willoughby's gives gift certificates and mugs. We have a gift certificate from the grocery store.
Yeah, Elm City Market.
Yes, thank you. And so we actually and DVDs from the filmmakers and T-shirts and swag, and so we actually reward our audience members for coming to all of these movies.
Is this something that's become just a full-time life for you? I mean, as someone who also puts out a couple movies a year, sometimes like how is this where you dedicate most of your time these days?
No, it's still, but it takes up
why do you continue to do it? If you step back and look at the big picture a little bit, I mean, 6 years going is no mean stretch, but it's obviously a lot of work and very rewarding. But what is it that keeps driving you to put together this fest?
Well, I mean, love of film, obviously, but I've met a lot of great filmmakers, and most of the people I work with have come from meeting them through the festival. I don't know. It's like, I even questioned why I was doing it this year, and of course, I'm the one who always seems to make it bigger. I'm the one who's like, oh, let's get a couple more rooms. Sure, we'll show something at the State House. Why not? And so I don't, maybe I just really hate sleeping. I don't know. The thing is, that's a very good question. If my wife is listening right now, if she's wherever she is, if she's driving up to her mom's, she's probably saying to herself, it's like I ask him that every single day.
And as you continue to expose yourself to more and more and more and more documentaries, how is your understanding of the, I don't know, in previous interviews you've said that you think that nonfiction filmmaking is the most like vital form of filmmaking around today.
Absolutely.
After watching well over 100 movies to program this festival, how are you feeling about documentaries right now? Are you still feeling confident that this is the, I don't know, form of the future for
Oh yeah.
For film? Or I don't know, what are documentaries capable of doing that you're always kind of surprised and delighted to find?
I mean, yeah, okay, a couple things. One thing I wanted to say too, because we're going to go back to Michael Moore for just one sec. Someone was posting, it's like that Michael Moore is a propaganda filmmaker, and my argument to that is every single documentary filmmaker is a propaganda filmmaker. Unless you film something and just put it up unedited, the minute you make a first cut, you are now putting your own thought process, you're putting your own slant on this footage, wherever you cut. So every documentary filmmaker is a little bit of a propaganda filmmaker, and whether they want to agree to that or not, they really are. But I do think it also is, it's that whole fact is a lot stranger than fiction. You're not dealing with most independent film right now. People are trying to like do ridiculous things, and their lighting is terrible, the photography is terrible, especially in the low budget range, and the acting is terrible. This is not acting. This is real life. And as long as you know how to tell a story, that's probably where the genre suffers, like, because sometimes too many people pick up the camera. Obviously I love rock docs. I've made 5. I'm going on to my 6th. That's a big issue where you have just people who have never made a film and they're fans of a band, and they decide, I'm going to make a documentary on my favorite band because they deserve one. Unfortunately, they don't know how to tell a story. There it suffers. They might have had great footage, but they needed someone to really put it together with a 3-act structure, so forth and so on. So, but the people who do know how to tell a story, it's just a genre, or I don't even know that I want to call it a genre, because I think with documentary you can have horror in there. There are some horrific things happening in the world. The scenes in Breaking Your Silence with the rhino dying are as sad and horrific as anything in any film of all time, but it's something everyone needs to see.
There's certainly plenty of absurd satire and everything Michael Moore has done.
There's stuff that's funny. There's light, there's heavy, there's things that will make you cry, things that will make you laugh out loud, things that will make you think. Though I think they'll all make you think in one way or another. And they're true. I mean, this is not like just some actor playing a part. This could literally be your next door neighbor.
Well, as a New Havener, someone who loves film, I'm so excited that this has grown to such the extent and quality that it has. It's really been great to watch it grow. Since I do have you here, I want to ask what's up with Gorman the filmmaker. Can you tell us what you're working on now, or what's next in the pipeline?
Yeah, somehow this summer I managed to have 3 full-time editors working with me this summer, which is going to be slightly crazy, but it might mean that the 3 films that I've been working on forever, well, not forever, the pizza movie was forever, but these 3 films can actually get finished, which is one, Jay Bennett, Where Are You, Jay Bennett, which is about the famous guitar player from Wilco, who is half responsible for 3 of their seminal records. Seniors, my next animal rights project, which is my fun animal film. I cannot emphasize that enough. There's not even a dog in a cage. It is just happy. You will smile. Your tail will wag. And lastly, Normal Valid Lives, which is completely not happy. It's about a horrible case of LGBT bullying in Minnesota, where 9 kids in one school district took their lives over the course of 15 months. That's a sad, very difficult film. And I'm also, I guess I'll announce this with you right now. You're going to get an exclusive.
Oh boy!
I'm working on another New Haven film.
Hey,
that is actually mostly filmed, but it's on the ridiculously wild and crazy history of the old clock factory building.
This is a timely and topical in that the clock factory at 133 Hamilton Street. If anyone's been reading The Independent, one of the series of articles I've most enjoyed writing recently is a pretty bizarre eviction lawsuit that just finished playing out in housing court, where the Portland-based redevelopment company was looking to kick out the sole remaining commercial tenant in the Clock Factory, the strip club Scores, and go to The Independent and check that out. But yes, this is a massive, something like 130,000 square foot building.
It's 175 years old, and besides being a Clock Factory, it had a million lives. It was, it was 10 cats. Which is 90, but you know what I'm saying.
do you have a where are you in that filmmaking process?
Well, I'm pretty sure if someone were coming to see Pizza Love Story at NH Docs, they'd probably see the first trailer right
very
before
exciting.
it.
Cool.
I pulled some strings with the guy who's running the festival to get that in there.
Got a connection.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that Pizza Love Story is already sold out.
Yeah, the funny thing was, though,
what does that mean?
Well, okay, so because it was so crazy last year, we did 2 screenings thinking that'll be plenty. But just to be on the safe side, we did Eventbrite, which is free tickets, but you have to get the tickets. The first screening sold out in like 6 days, and then the next screening sold out. There's a wait list. Or if you buy a fast pass, you can get in. But right now, it's people with passes, the filmmakers, people with passes, and people with tickets. Right before I came here, though, someone released, because I put on the Facebook page, if you're not using your tickets, release them. Then they can go back into circulation. So there are actually 2 available tickets for the Late Show on Eventbrite right now. So
any listeners who are interested in checking out Pizza Love Story, I mean, this is a movie that so many New Haveners must identify closely with their love of pizza, but it's going to be in high demand. So check it out. To NHDocs?
Yeah, if you go to the NHDocs,
is it NHDocs.com or
NHDocs.com, or for that case, there's also the links for the tickets are on PizzaLoveStory.com.
And to find a complete lineup of all of the many movies and locations and many great things in NHDocs, you go to NHDocs.com. It starts Thursday, May 30th. Excellent. And runs through June 9th.
Yep.
Okay. Got it. Again, I can't speak highly enough of this festival. Congratulations, Gorman, on putting together another fest. And good luck with the weeks to come. I'm sure it will be a lot of fun. And, if this is a once a year opportunity for people in the New Haven area to check out such a diversity of films for free that you will likely have never seen or heard of, and I'm sure that you will find something you love. So check it out. Gorman, thank you for coming on the show. As always.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure to have you, and can't wait to learn more about upcoming stuff that you're doing. Go to deepfocusradio.com to check out a recording of this episode and also many other interviews with Gorman and other local filmmakers over the years. I'm your host, Tom Breen, and we'll talk with you next time on Deep Focus.
That was great, Tom. Thank you.